Hi everyone, I'm Howlin Howell, your host here at BurntPossumRecords.com podcast. And I'm glad that everyone is listening and everybody's excited about all of those people that I have been able to talk to lately. Lately it's been, last night was Kevin Self, what a good time we had. Before that was Alistair Green, fantastic guitarist from Los Angeles, California. Had a good time with him. Listen, if you are not listening to these things, man, you got to get busy. You got to get with the program. Get with Hal and Steve Howe. Listen, these people that I'm introducing to you, oh, I hope you enjoy it because we get into their music, we get into their background, we get into everything that they want to talk about. That's exactly right. Here on this podcast. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce to you a lady from, well, she plays all over Colorado, but she is now one of the most fantastic songwriters, and she has been writing and producing music for 30 years now. And this is her background. Let me give you her discography. Angels in the Crowd, Wide Awake and Dreaming, 1999. Escolalia is 2000. Gonna Wear Red, 2002. Walking the Skyline, 2004. Angels Laughing, 2005. Luxury, 2007. Saving Grace, 2009. Now, this next word I'm going to have to try. Austerity, 2011. Live, 2013. Live at the Dickens Opera House, 2013. Tipping Point is 2015. And The Immigrant, 2019. The accolades come that she has won the Westwood Music Award 5 times. In fact, they won't even allow her to enter it anymore because she's done won it all the time, and they know that she's just going to walk away with it. So that's the way it is. I'd like to introduce to you one, Wendy Woo. How are you today, Wendy?
Very good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness! This is all my pleasure. You know, I mean, this is my wheelhouse. This is where I like to play and everything. Tell us what you've been up to these days.
I've been playing a lot of gigs post-pandemic, just a lot of music, a lot of Colorado, but usually close to home since they were asking people to stay close to home for a couple years, just kind of playing in my hometown and doing some recording on the shelf, but got to get back to that because my summer booked up like crazy, like back to back stuff. So, yeah.
Well,
so
that's good to hear, though.
yeah, it's been fun.
Didn't you just recently do like South Dakota? You were in South Dakota for a little bit?
No, I did Wyoming for a little bit.
Oh, Wyoming. Oh, I thought you were up in South Dakota for some reason. So how was that to be out there in cowboy land? Was that a lot of fun?
It was good. It was good. People love music up there.
Well, it seems like wherever you go, people love your music, and it's a really fine form. You know, the thing that's really interesting about what's happening right now is I've only had the pleasure of having one other woman on my show, and that's a crying shame because I ask all the time for the ladies, come on and join me on my show. Let's have some fun. Let's get you out there,
Good. Well, I could be one of them.
Yeah, it's really cool. And from what I understand, you're an inspiration to a lot of the women of Colorado because you're basically self-produced. Is that right?
Yes.
And so you do all the production work, you do all the booking, you do everything yourself.
I do everything, and not all of it very well.
It's all. Don't you find that in the music business, that's a hard thing to. It's a hard thing to control all that, isn't it? I mean, it's an
Yeah.
animal in itself. The music business is an animal by itself, and And I could imagine to be a woman in that world and self-produced woman in that world where you do all your own production in that world, and then you get the accolades that come along with that being in that world. Wendy, that's it's just amazing. Tell us about that. You know,
Well, I'll correct you.
how did that come about? I mean, how did all this just how did this land on you?
I'll correct you just at the beginning that most of my albums are co-produced, and it's usually me
Oh,
and whoever the engineer is. Or so my 2000 and when did I put that out? It's 2017 Tipping Point. I produced that with Jim Gaines, who is a very popular, successful producer out of Nashville, Tennessee.
oh,
He did a lot of this older Steve Miller, Melissa Etheridge, Santana. And so he came out
oh.
and spent a couple weeks in Colorado. So we did that one. The one after that, The Immigrant, I produced myself. It's very simple acoustic stuff. But again, my engineer was kind of the co-producer on that. So I always like to have another set of ears to bounce ideas off of.
So when you're sitting there with high powered engineers like that, and you're sitting there and you just do you tell them what you want or you just let them just go or how does that work with you? I mean, is there any kibitz go on? I mean, what goes on inside that
Yeah,
recording?
you just play what you want to play, and then they make suggestions, especially putting some of the guitar solos together and some of the lyrics together. But yeah, I mean, it's just you and another person bouncing ideas around in a studio, and yeah, it's fun. It's
And
completely different than playing live.
and you were trained were you were trained classically, is that right? I mean, you were like a was it University of New Mexico? I'm
University
trying
of
to.
Mexico, University of Colorado. I studied classical guitar for a couple of years,
Oh my
3.5
goodness.
to be precise.
So you already, so your guitar prowess, that's one thing we haven't talked about yet. Your guitar prowess was something that did you take it from classical and move it into the it's kind of, I wouldn't call you a total folk singer. I wouldn't call you a total blues singer. I wouldn't call you an indie player, but yet you're a conglomerate of all those things, and it comes out. It's like there's several musicians that I could name that that did stuff like you do, like one Joni Mitchell.
Okay, was she independent? No.
Sorry,
Was she independent? No.
no,
Her
she
name
was
is
never. No, she was a reprise at first. That's where she
okay.
got all her start from.
All right.
But not as an independent, not speaking as an, but I'm talking about the style of the prowess of guitar player that she was. And she started out. I mean, people like Stephen Stills learned how to do these different tunings and make songs work in those different tunings and stuff like that. So she's heralded as not just a just as a guitarist, singer, songwriter like yourself, but she is actually a phenomenal guitar player, and you are too. I mean, you're in that same category.
Well,
How does
that's a
that feel?
compliment. It's a big compliment.
Well, I count it as a compliment, but it's really comes down to authenticity. Off this. How come I can't talk all of a sudden? Hey, Steve Howell, come back to Earth right now. Get out of that headspace. Anyway, it's the sound of an authentic person that does production. You seem to be frozen right now, but we're just going to go ahead and talk through this anyway, and until you become unfrozen. So anyway, I think being an authentic singer songwriter and coming up with your own sound and doing the kind of recordings that you're doing, it's a phenomenal factor. It factors right into the sound that we get from your music. Yes, you
Nice.
were froze for a while. I just went ahead and talked through it.
You're
So
still froze though on
I'm
my side.
still froze.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. It's
That just
record. It's going to record it just fine. I'll edit all this out. So anyway, we were talking about you being the singer songwriter that is like we talked about Joni Mitchell, but there's not too much difference because you write in your own style and you stayed true to that style. I don't believe, when I listen to your music, I don't hear you trying to be somebody else. You sound authentic. You sound like this is me, this is my emotions that I'm pouring over my music, and this is what I want you to hear. And this is what I want you to hear about what I have to say about the subject at hand.
great.
Okay. Well, that's that's really funny. I mean, it's
Thank
like I
you.
said, I'm kind of in a place where I'm saying, because of the ability, I'm a musician myself, and so when I hear certain things in a song, it's like I'm automatically going, "Wow, that's unique." So where do you come up with your ideas? I mean, for the most part, do they just fall out of the sky on you and bump you in the head? And I noticed that at first you talked about some pretty etheric type things like angels in the crowd or walking the skyline, you know, you know, wide awake and dreaming. Okay. Tell me about, first of all, the angels in the crowd. How did you, where did that come from?
Well, that was my first release. It was my 1997 release,
Right.
and there's a song in there called "Angels in the Crowd." um, I mean, it was 97, what, 25 years ago. um, and my mom was alive back then, and she was a huge influence and supporter.
Oh,
And yeah, so I mean, the song is oh, it's been so long. The phrase that I repeat in it is, "I never dreamed it would be me." And some people think that like meant the lottery winner or the successful person, but it was the person that that died young. She had been in a car accident where one of her students had died in the accident. Luckily, she wasn't the one
oh,
driving. But when you lose someone close to you, you question your own mortality, and you know, like you said, someday we're going to be out in wherever you go at the end of this crazy journey. So it's just kind of identifying that you hear all these stories, but it would never be me. Like it would never be me. It would. So I never dreamed it would be me. And then so that's called Angels in the Crowd. And yeah, a lot of angel stuff. My fourth or fifth album was Angels Laughing, and that's also has a
right, right.
song. That's more of a love song. Like Cupid almost never misses. How could he was probably out drinking one night and shot the arrow to the sky and it hit me. Like that's the kind of, and the chorus is Angels Laughing. And I wrote that like 20 years ago. I was in an Italian restaurant and I was kind of in a transitional time in my life. And you know how they give you the crayons and the white paper? And I just sat down and just wrote like this entire song and
Oh,
then ripped
wow.
paper and stuck it in my purse and took it home. And it's so I still play it still to this day. It's also got some of that guitar slapping, that open tuning that you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that open tuning is like I find it just opens up a whole world and it allows that drone
yeah,
that
big of
I
it.
feel like should be in music, it's a part of it no matter what.
Sort of that like cinematic, um, just big open ringing notes that just hold emotion, I
Oh
think.
yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, once you learn an open tuning too, doesn't it seem like there's a whole lot more walking around you could do. There's a whole chordal section that changes, like an A doesn't sound like an A at all. It sounds dimensional instead of
The,
like the plain old Jane.
Yeah.
you know, A, kind of thing. I know. I thank you for those insights. Because I often, when I was setting up the show, I was reading about you and some of the stuff that you've got as your titles, and it's like, no, I mean, people want to know that inside stuff. I do. I'm always curious. I was the kind of guy that, I grew up, with the Doors, their album, open it up and just sit there reading it from cover to cover, listening to everything they said. Same with Jimi Hendrix. How are you experienced? I can almost tell you everything on the cover. I mean, on the back cover, and who was part of the producer, who was, I mean, and it's like I've always been that kind of guy that loves the
Reading the
back
album jacket.
seeing the background of the music, and really, I mean, sometimes I think as writers we think of ourselves as smaller than what we really are, I mean, because it's really you're opening up channels, and I don't really believe that we write the song. I believe the ethers or the angels or you whoever you want, whatever you want to name that other spiritual thing that happens with writers. And I mean all writers. I mean, even rap guys. I mean, they get it from somewhere. It's coming from some spiritual place. And, because I believe, of course, I'm the kind of guy that believes in philosophy that, all music came from God and that God basically put sound waves out into the universe, and that they've gone into deep space and they've turned on microphones and got some far out stuff, I mean, some really far out music from doing that. So here you are sitting in a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, and you're writing down this song, and it's coming to you. You can hear it in your mind, but is it really your voice that you're really hearing, or it comes like it sounds like us because they know us so well? Is it? I mean, isn't that true? Am I onto something here?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It usually comes and it comes quickly, and you just got to make sure you write it down. And sometimes you can just keep writing and writing and writing. So you got to make sure and then once you get it going and get it flowing, then it comes more often. Like now I feel like everything is, I speak in poetic form, and and then I wait for like one cool line that somebody says, and I'll jot that down and kind of run with it. Yeah.
Well,
It's easier now than it was when I was younger.
we have a Kansas pastime around here. It's called boonie cruising. You ever heard of boonie cruising?
I've not heard of
Never heard of it. What it is you get your favorite drinking beverage,
Okay.
and you go driving around. There's so many dirt roads, and it's like
Oh,
so many square miles of nothing.
okay. And
That
it's called Boonie Coverage?
Yeah, we call that boonie cruising. Yeah.
Boonie Cruising. Okay, good.
And so my wife and I, whenever we would do this, we would start, like writing lyrics to songs, and we just write down jot down one line of a lyric, and pretty soon jot down, there'd be another lyric come up, and then all of a sudden these storms. See, you don't ever want to get caught on these roads in a storm, because they boil up. It's just like the Front Range, like what you live in. When they boil up, you know how they boil up. There's a big old cumulus cloud comes over, and all of a sudden, I mean, you could have 5 inches of rain in about 30 seconds, it seems. You could be out there taking a shower in it. And I've been at Red Rocks and got caught in 2 of those showers, and it's not fun. It's kind of not a good place to be. Although Coloradans seem to just take that with a grain of salt. Oh man, it's just it'll go away. Don't worry about it. It'll be
Break
gone.
out their rain punches.
But we didn't want to get caught on these dirt roads, because I mean you'll sink down to your axles. You'd be and you could be miles, literally miles from another farm. So it was kind of fun anyway. I wrote a song about a sign, and it's so Lori and I put these, all these lyrics on it. Started one day. It's like all of a sudden the music just dropped in, bam, in Kansas style, country surrealistic psychedelia. Anyway, and so and so this music starts going, it's in my head, and then I start picking out these lyrics that we wrote down, And it all fit together, and it was like, whoa, another form of receiving something from the ethers that you really didn't write. You wrote it, but when you wrote it, you were in a different, you were in a different time zone and space zone and, everything else zone. And so anyway, it came together, and it's like, I can't believe how that came together and how much fun it is to go ahead and play that. I'm going to play a song of yours. Can I do that? Do you mind? I'd like to share some of your music. Now, folks, this is Wendy Woo I'm talking to, and she's a phenomenon as far as songwriting and as far as music goes. This girl knows what she's doing. She knows how she wants to say it, and she says it right. And you can hear it in the cadence of her voice. You could hear it in her storytelling ability. But here we go. I'm going to play something off for 2017. Is that right? 2017?
2019, I think. Oh, well, you're playing off
2019, The Immigrant. Ah, okay.
Crazy, I knew that.
So I can get things right every now and then, and I can really mess stuff up. But here we go. It's called, what we've been talking about, The Weather.
This is how we are now. We talk about the weather and how it rains on. We talk about the weather. Please come home. The flag waves half-mast today. Kids just think it flies that way. And all the things that I want to say. Please come home, please be safe. Talk about the weather and how it rains on me. We talk about the weather, please come home. And the phones will be ringing in the pocket of the jacket that you wore. And someone will be waiting on the other line to see you home. And we talk about the weather and how it rains on. We talk about the weather. Please come home. I can hear the raindrops on the sunroof of my car. The pitter patter of the raindrops. And this is how we are now. We talk about the weather and how it rains on. We talk about the weather. Please talk about the weather, how it rains on me. We talk about the weather, please come home. Please come home. Talk about the weather.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wendy Woo. And yes, I'm very fortunate to have a conversation with her today. It is a hot, sticky day out here in Kansas.
Is it?
And the weather has been something to talk about, but I think there was a lot more to that song than meets the eye. Can we talk about it, Wendy?
Of course.
All right.
Always interesting to see what other people think of. I mean, I know I have my meanings, but if you can strike a chord with someone if something sounds familiar, and it's interesting to see what other people think. Some people be like, I heard your song, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'll be like, I don't even know what I'm talking about.
And then you ask them, what were you talking about? And they go, blank. No, I mean, when I hear something like that, it's kind of deep because, you know, the rain is very magical and it has a language of its own self. Especially when it's a soft rain, but the big raindrops, and that's kind of what I picture in this song is that, and I kind of see it hitting your car, and you're kind of looking at it, and as the rain just dissipates, makes it splash, and then it joins all into all the other molecules and melts into the back of the scene kind of thing. And that song kind of does that. It goes right into it seems like it goes right into you. And, you know, I mean, and it's like John Hyatt wrote some great songs about Feels Like Rain. I've heard Tommy Castro wrote a great song about rain, you know, and here, you know, the Temptations, you know, they have a song about rain. And here it's like, you know, I mean, it's a big subject. It's larger than what we think. I mean, even when the Temptations, you know, sang, it was like, wow, uh, you know, it's hard to put into any kind of language when it's so ethereal. You know, it's so out there. You know, and the way you laid that down, the chord phrasing. Now that wasn't. Where did you produce? Where was this produced at?
It was produced at Stout Studios, and I played all the instruments. So they are kind of basic and elementary, but they do the trick. The chords, the tracks.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, well, some of the greatest songs of all time, let's face it, are three-chord songs. I mean, if you're a blues player and you're not familiar with three chords, you know, you get out of the business, you know, go away.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even want to talk to you.
A few things you need to know before you start playing, like what I teach people, G, C, and D. Go learn those and then come back.
But it's those little improvisations inside the chord that make the actual feel of the song come to life, because it sure doesn't sound like your basic chords. It is basic chords, I know it is, but it's a lot larger than basic chords because of what you do with it, and then to top it off, it's the storyline and the way your voice, and it's in the colloquium of your voice, it just comes out so beautiful, baby. It's wonderful.
I hadn't listened to it in a long time. I had kind of forgotten about those little harmonics, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, so, you know, yeah, that's what, you know, I mean, it's like, okay, one of the songs that that you heard at the opening that I played with the harmonica and stuff, I wrote that song. It's called Pedal to the Metal, but that song is like, I don't know, it's probably going on 13, 14 years old.
Still timeless.
Music should be timeless. I think what you're doing is timeless. someone gets caught up in the Wendy Woo, they're going to go see your concert, right?
I hope so.
So tell me, have you ever aspired to play places like Red Rocks, or have you already?
I played Red Rocks 3 times back in my younger days, and I would
Oh
like to play there
my.
again. If you want to put that out to the universe for me.
Oh yes, there we go. Up goes the prayers. Yeah. No, I mean it's fantastic because it's like I mean I love going there. I mean I don't care if it's just to sit there. There's something magical about Red Rocks that's nowhere else. I mean you can go. I mean, and I've been to a lot of houses. I grew up in L.A. and I had like Long Beach.
Nice.
Auditorium. I had the Forum. I had over in San Bernardino. I had the
Oh, yeah.
Swing Auditorium. I had the Hollywood Bowl. I mean, it just goes on and on. I could probably name eight. I could probably go on a lot longer about the list of places. And I've seen like Hendrix. I've seen Janis Joplin. I've got to witness those things. Now, there's nothing magical about the Forum. There was nothing magical. Actually, I don't even think that highly of the Hollywood Bowl. It'd be great for if you were going to listen to a symphony orchestra. But when I heard Jefferson Airplane there and Poco and some bands like that, I mean, it was like, hey, I mean, it was okay. Now you go to the Swing Auditorium. Now, what is it about the Swing that Jimi Hendrix would play an hour and a half longer than he was scheduled to? 12 o'clock came. We stayed there until 1:44. Jimmy was still blowing it and just playing his ass off, and it was magical. I mean, the whole event ends up being a lot bigger than life. Okay, so there's something about a place, you know what I mean? And I mean, Stephen Stills, whenever he played there, same thing. He would blow the roof off the place, and it's like wanted to keep playing. It was so awe-inspiring. Do you have places like that you play at that you would, that the magic just catches you up, and you just wish it just never stopped? It's where you want to be.
Yeah, we have some beautiful venues here. Mishawaka Amphitheater is up here, but Red Rocks, of course. And yeah, Avogadro's Number is a nice little concert setting hall that has lots of magic in it.
Does Mishawaka still have other things? They started getting into some of that. What do you call it? That electronic type music.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing now. I haven't played there since the new owners came in. But when I've been there in the past, it's beautiful. It's right on the stage is right over the river.
Right over the river, right?
The river go underneath the wood planks. Yeah.
I've seen DSO there like twice, in the past, and that
Yeah.
was like a really cool thing. And we actually stay there on the river whenever we go there. We stay in one of the cabins up there and kind of I just love it. Love the trout fishing too. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
So, so
You
many,
spent
so many,
time.
so many wonderful things about Colorado, and I couldn't imagine. I mean, I could imagine what it's like. I went down to the Four Corners recently, in southwestern Colorado, under the kind of the sleeping Ute was in the view, from the room that my wife and I had, and I
Nice.
took all my recording stuff up there, and I thought, man, I'm gonna get there. Of course, polymyalgia kicked in, and I didn't get to really play anything. I didn't get anything done. Although I did feel the place. It was a time of pain because my body was. I thought I was dying actually. I didn't think I was going to live, but it was quite an interesting place. So, how is it to write in Colorado? I mean, those great big mountains, luminous. You can go any. You probably have a lot of private places you and your husband can go and just sit and enjoy the world. I mean,
Like my house. Just kidding.
your house. Well, it's a beautiful background you got going on there. That's for sure. Got the tree of life, which is impressive.
Okay, okay. I didn't know. I just thought it looked good over my old piano.
Oh man, it's awesome. It's an
Awesome.
awesome thing. So anyway, I got another song I want to play, and I think this sums it up for everybody. I mean, across the Midwest, even, it's not just a local Colorado scene that you're writing about. It's much bigger than that. Although I imagine you were picturing the little town that you're in. You are originally, where are you from originally?
I was born in New York City, and then my folks moved to Boulder, Colorado when I was very young. So I grew up in
Oh,
Boulder, and then left Boulder, went to Denver for 10 years, and then now I'm up in Loveland, which is a little bit south of Fort Collins, so northern Colorado.
God, those days, I'm so jealous, I mean, Boulder. I mean, I love that place. Their market there, that Saturday market that they have there. Oh my goodness. Some of the best food in the world that you can get right there. Man,
Yeah,
I love it there.
awesome. I haven't
And
been back in a couple
and
bunch of
so and in the background you have some very distinguished, I mean, your family came from, they were like, like they were part of like the beatnik
Yeah,
culture.
they uh, came to Boulder and started working at Naropa University, which is a Buddhist study college.
Oh.
And my mom was in charge of the summer programming. So she put together the Jack Kerouac conference. And so it was 3 weeks of different speakers from the Beat generation, Allen Ginsberg, um, Peter Orlowski, Ken Kesey,
Oh.
Abby Hoffman, and William Burroughs.
Oh
They all just
man.
came over and partied at my house when I was a kid.
No kidding. They were at your house. Ken Kesey was at your house?
Yeah, we actually got to be really good friends with him. We went out to Oregon to stay at his cabin on the beach when I was younger, and yeah, he's just a good person. He died the same year my mother died, actually, and so did Allen Ginsberg. That was
Oh.
22 in 2000.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are some fantastic human beings. I mean, dear Lord. And that must have been great to, as a little kid, did you actually sit and listen, or you just, yeah, you just went off and played,
Yeah,
whatever,
but they were
like,
like they were partying, and we went to the poetry readings and the classes, and I was probably 8 or 9 back then, so maybe 10. So as a matter of fact, we actually all partied at the hotel with everybody's kids. All the beatniks put their kids together, and we just took over the swimming pool, which has which is something I do in life: go find a pool and take it over.
Oh, wow, that's cool. So you carried on the tradition, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah. My mom was a very social, good organizer. A lot of fun. My mom was a lot of fun. So
Oh man. I'm so glad I gotta hear that part. It's pretty cool because that's kind of a rarity. I mean, not very many people get to have that kind of experience. Like my greatest experience in life is like at the age of 16, we were lacking in some drugs that were illegal at the time. So we heard of a guy that had some hashish that was up by where the Grateful Dead lived, and so we went up there, and actually I got to hear a band. We were going up these steps, and I could hear this band playing off in the distance. I said, "Well, who is that?" So the guys went on inside to do their deal, and I went marching down Haight Street. I went down Haight Street. Ashbury's the crossroads from the Haight Ashbury district there. And so anyway, I was going down there, and I get down there, and none other than New Riders of the Purple Sage was playing out in the street, and Jerry Garcia was on he was on the pedal steel, and it left an imprint that I'll never forget. I mean, and just the whole magic of the air. It's kind of like that beatnik thing you're talking about. I mean, it's like, to have those folks grace your house, but then go out and actually mingle with the Haight Ashbury people. That was like, I mean, that was, man, I'm in high school, and I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. Come back, and of course, the guy scored some mushrooms and some hashish and other illicit kind of things that was a lot of fun. But anyway, at the time, And people have to realize that. So don't be hard nosed on me when I talk about my drug past, because I actually did do drugs and I actually enjoyed it. And Orange Sunshine was one of my favorites, and I mean, stuff like that. So I lived that life, back in the day, and so we always have our heroes, and everyone that came to your house happens to be one of my heroes. I mean, it's like, wow, a house full of them. I'd been like, man, I don't know if I was still a teenager. I don't know what our age difference is, because I'm 68 now, and so we're talking about 70s.
Um,
69 through 72 for me were the most magical times on the face of the planet. You know,
right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, those are my
And
birth years.
sorry.
Those 71 was my birth year, so it was very magical year for me.
Oh my goodness! Wow, fantastic. So that's great. Like I said, I want to play another song of yours. I don't want you to go away. This is about every town, like I said earlier, in the Midwest or anywhere along the old Colorado. People don't realize that Colorado used to have a whole different culture than what it has right now. It's a total different world. And I guess you can go to places like Craig out on the east, on the west side of the Rockies, places like that, and you start getting the feel of what it was like to walk back in time in Colorado. And people are still the same as they were. And myself, I was a hitchhiker back in those days, and I had friends living in teepees up in Steamboat Springs. So I mean, and I was living in Bend, Oregon, so I did a lot of time hitchhiking, and I spent some time in Craig because I got stuck there. But anyway, it was fun, and the people were so cool, but yet standoffish in another way. But anyway, this is about everybody's little town.
This little town, we drink at the bar. This little town, we cruise in your car. Up and down Main Street, we turn around at the Sonic. This little town, we get along well. This little town, we raise a little hell. You probably spend your summers drinking beer, not gin and tonic. And no one ever stopped dreaming, even if you think it don't come true. No one ever stopped dreaming, even if you think it don't come true. This little town, we party at the lake. In this little town, your ex is a flake. And you just let go, cause life's too short to hate. In this little town, well, we don't have a care. In this little town, we wear flowers in our hair. We always pack a jacket, cause you know that mountain air. And no one ever stopped dreaming, even if you think it don't come true. No one ever stopped dreaming, even if you think it don't come true. And it's 7 o'clock and your boyfriend's coming. Well, there's gonna be a fire and some guitar strumming. These mountain peaks looking out for me. It's a wonderful life in these Rockies. Never stop dreaming, even if you think it don't come true. No one never stopped dreaming, even if I think it don't come true. No one never stopped dreaming, even if I think it don't come true. No one never stopped dreaming, even if I think it don't come true.
Never stop dreaming. Oh, hey, hold it. I didn't ask for tumbleweed there. But anyway, wasn't going to go in there. That song is so rich. Once again, you can say, well, it's simple chords. No, it's a story. And the chords back up that story I mean, there's a crescendo in there that just blows my mind. Man, Wendy, you're a great songwriter.
Thank you. I can't take full credit. This was a co-write with my husband, Charles Snyder, at the time. And he came up with the small town lyrics, and I threw them on the GC&D, and it worked perfectly.
Oh man, I tell you, I mean, it's a beautiful depiction, I mean, I can see the cars, because it's a big thing, in small towns that people get together and they get in their cars and they cruise to town together and
Downtown.
everybody's waving at each other. Some, you can hear loud music coming out of all of them, and it's like, I mean, that's a standard procedure for America, and it's not forgotten. And yet we still dream about, I mean, some of those places you would think, man, I want to get out of here. Someday I'm gonna blow this place. And then I stop and think about, okay, I live on 600 acres out in the middle of 1 square mile, and there's nobody on my road. Nobody on my road. And we live off the farm, and we work hard, and we dream hard, we play hard, and every now and then we just go, man, let's get out of here, man. Let's go to I mean, I have a place in New Mexico that we're rock hounds. Like, we like to go look at pretty rocks. And so we go down into New Mexico and some of those places in Arizona. And the feeling in the air is more than the rocks itself, One of these days I'm going to write about it. But, Wendy, is there anything you would like to say to all the people that have adored you over the years, that have come out to listen to your music and just, fall in love with the premise of your music in itself? Is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Um, I couldn't do it without the people that come see me play, because that's why clubs want me back, and people come and connect. I think that my following is based off of people who are in some transition in their lives, and they're looking for something. So they're putting themselves out there, coming to a concert, meeting other lost souls. And we have a big family of people that come to all my shows, and it's just a lot of community. And so I couldn't do it without them. And so, yeah, I'm very thankful that people check out my stuff and come see me play.
Are you one of those that remembers all your fans? It's like you can almost name like a
Yeah,
bunch of them out in a crowd.
I
And when
try really hard. Yeah, I try really hard.
when you see them, man, it's like Hugville, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
If they
man,
don't come a lot, I'll lose it, but I try to. And then, but I say, once you come 1 time or 3 times, I'll get your name. 4 times, I'll put you to work. Like 5 times, we'll be best friends. But then if you stop coming for a while and you come back, you're gonna have to refresh it for me.
do you
But
have
I
to
try to. Yeah.
do you have to set up your own sound and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Oh man,
Stage and a PA. I love it. I love setting it up. As long as nobody's like watching. I don't like setting up while people are watching, but if I can show up I got a trailer and my car, I load in and put the stage up, put the sound up, put the lights up, then people filter in, do the concert, and then take it all down. I love
so
it.
you carry your own stage?
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Oh my goodness, you're one of the rare people, and you are self-produced, man. This
Oh my God.
man,
It's a bummer because I can't move it by myself. So I'm bummed that I have something that I can't move. Like I can move my Mesa Boogie amp and my QSC speakers, but I can't move
ah.
the stage alone. Got to have a friend for that. But I rent it or provide it for when I'm playing.
Oh wow, it's like whenever I played Leadville and a couple other spots there in Colorado, for their cook-offs and what have you. Whenever I've been invited to play, it's always great because all I have to do is pack my four
Right.
guitars up on stage, and and
Uh-huh.
that's all I have to do, and I really like that, And it's like I have this little uh, I just plug into my LR bags, and it controls everything, like my mandolin, one goes in here, and then I got my one for my dobro,
Nice.
and it's nice push of a button, and all those guys are controlling all that stuff, but I also have ultimate control over what I'm doing on the stage too, which is really, man, it's really a lot of fun. And I know if you really like to set up, then your shows are already going to be really cool because the part that takes me out of a gig, usually for myself, is the fact that I gotta set up all this equipment and everybody wants to talk to me.
Right,
Everybody
that's hard.
wants.
That's the hard part. It can take hours and hours and hours to leave a gig because people want to talk and you know, people want to relate. My daughter's like, according to your website, you're done at 8. I don't know why you're still out. I'm like, I'm networking.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's really cool to know though. I didn't know you did that. I'm gonna have to catch one of your shows. Sounds like I have to go to 3 of them before you get to know me though.
No, you're already in. You're already in.
No, I appreciate that. I'm all the way out here in north central Kansas. We do go to Colorado as much as we can. We love the mountain air. We love everything about the people there. The driving, not so much. It's and I always have a message about that at the end of my show, and so I'm gonna ask you to stay on because we're gonna close out here now. But I really want you to stay on until after we get all disconnected and everything, because I want to further thank you, because I really do appreciate your work and everything that you're doing. I mean, when I was going through your Wikipedia, and really that's where I got a lot of my information. I was like blown away, man. I mean, this woman has basically done it all around, and she's so huge in the world, but yet seems like it's all Colorado, And have you ever played overseas?
No, no, not overseas.
Have you ever played?
I've the country.
Oh, have you?
I have.
I,
Yep, before the pandemic, probably before I started having kids.
I know you. I know you. I know you. You came to Kansas, and that's how I first heard about you
So
20
much
years
fun.
ago.
Oh my gosh, you guys treated me like a rock star. The
Oh,
Selena River Festival was great. I went maybe 3 or 4 years in a row. Just
well,
so kind.
you are a rock star. I mean, your writing is that good. I mean, it's
Well,
like
kind.
it. It's like the accolade just seems like you would be playing all over the planet. I mean, it really does, and your music fits everybody. I mean, Japan would enjoy you. I know that for sure. I know that Mexico would definitely love you. They'd love that style of music. I mean, Ireland. Oh my goodness, England for sure. I think about all these places. Copenhagen, God, you'd fit right in the Copenhagen crowd. I mean, it's like, yeah, they'd eat that stuff up like candy. It's a beautiful thing. But in my departing, I'd like to once again thank Wendy Woo. This is burntpossumrecords.com. I'm Howlin Steve Howell, and we've been hanging with the band. And I'm gonna take it out with a song that I wrote a while back, and it's just on my little dobro. And I want to give you a pep talk at the same time. And I hope you stick around for the pep talk because it's gonna be really good. Check it out. Thank you for hanging with the band here. I'm Howlin Steve Howell. I want to talk to you about something very serious today. If you can hear me, listen. We need to fall in love with our country again. We need to become a community again. We need to learn to be kind again. We get in our cars and we seem like we're so angry the minute we get in the car. What was it created for? Getting from point A to point B. Not to get angry, not to get in a fight, not to get aggravated. Hey, we're all going the same direction if we're in the same lanes together. I mean, come on. It's all right. If a guy turns on his blinker, for God's sake, let him in. What's it going to hurt you? if it's hurting you and you think you're getting there too slow, you should have left earlier, don't you think? So what I'm saying is, let's be kind. We don't need no more hatred or nor talk of hatred. Our politicians do that enough. And I mean both sides. And I'm tired of hearing it. I want to hear about the good things in life. I want to hear about how it is to fall in love with your community again. That's what I want to hear about. Anyway, folks, this is Howlin' Steve Howell. Those are my 2 thoughts for today. We've enjoyed ourselves with one Wendy Woo. That Colorado girl blows my mind how she could write music. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm blessed a kid to get to know this person. And I thank you for listening to this podcast. And we'll be talking to you soon. And you've been hanging with the band. Bye.
Bye.